Alright, so I'm going to talk you through my project on water. My original intent was to look at the phenomenology of water and wave and how it's created, what forms it, what is a wave in its essence. So looking at meteorology, tectonic plate movement, its own construction, hydrogen particles, oxygen particles, what in it helps move. When water heats up, the molecules push apart slightly, and that makes bigger waves go one way, and then the cool pressure compresses them again. And when you get really mixed days where it's been cold overnight and warm during the day, this flux. And I started to think about what it actually means to be in water. What is water in itself? As a meaning, as a depiction. So you could start looking down the lines of biblical, what's it called? Christenings and baptisms. Then I watched a film, V for Vendetta, and there's two scenes in there. One where the character V steps out of the hospital, prison, detention ward that he's in when it's been blown up and he's all on fire. And the lady actress in it, who I can't remember the name of at the moment, steps out into the rain, and this sort of rebirth by water and fire and nature as a whole. And then you can think of it as a substance that we use. There's this. We are made up of 70% water. Our brain, no, it's our brain is 70%, we are 80%, or something like that. One of the ways around, I can't quite remember at the moment. We use it to wash and clean ourselves and things that we own, like a car. We use it as a deterrent, water hoses to push people over in riots. We use it as a bargaining tool. If you're in the desert, what do you trade a man? Gold's pointers for him. Food might be worth it, but water's the thing he's going to need most. We use it as a retreat, a place to go. It's different, especially if you're in a city, more mainland. The coastline is somewhere to go, to get away, to start again, to unwind and relax. And if you're old, it's a place to go to die. Just saying, it's not Eastbourne, where is it? Death's waiting room. It's a strip of beach somewhere where there's like 30 old people, retirement homes. Anyway, it's just odd that that's a place that people choose to go in general. Our planet is covered in the stuff. Half of it's undrinkable. Different waters do different things. Water out the tap isn't the same as water out the kettle. It's not the same as water in the Red or Dead Sea. It's not the same water in the Channel. It's not the same water in a lake. It's not the same water above or below ground. There's all these different aspects of water that we don't. It's just water. It's not important. It's just there. When actually, if it wasn't there, we wouldn't be here. Just full stop. The human race would not be on this planet. Not very many species would be on the planet. We'd be like Mars. This also tied into the rest of my projects, looking at surfers and the local area in relation to surfers and the sea. So, what I want to get across is that I don't know really if I'm honest, I don't really know what I'm trying to get across. I find water fascinating. It's such an important substance. It doesn't have just one form, heat it up and it turns to steam, cool it down and it turns to ice. It's just such an interesting thing, and I don't think although there's lots of people who photograph, landscapers photograph large ones, surfers photograph the sport, advertising companies use it as a prop background material. When you see those like shampoo bottles drop into a glass of water, it's many things, but I just wanted to see what it was to be water. What water is in a photographic sense. How do we use it photographically? There's many little tangents that I've gone with this project, as you can see in my sketchbook and on this page site thing. So if I'm completely honest, I don't really have one aspect that I've been following down. I've taken the brief, read through it, and been told I need to make a certain amount of images in relation to this. I don't feel, however, that this not knowing has affected my work. I think I've still come up with really nice images. I think there is definitely a meaning and connection with them into what I've just said earlier about how we use, see, and interact with water. But I don't know if that's committable enough for the marking criteria and establishment of a education system that's, in my own personal views, defunct and outdated. Anyway, artist-wise, I've looked at people like Esther Teichmann, Emma Critchley, Takahasa Rumor, I can't pronounce his name, but the guy who did The New Wave, where he photographed a space, I can't remember if it was every month or every year, looking at it in the same direction and how this water and space has changed over time. I think those are my three main artists. Emma Critchley, her work's really interesting in the fact that I don't really understand what it's about. Like her website especially, there's all these different bits and bobs on there, and different types of photograph. They're all very natural, like nature-wise, there's forests, trees, streams and water, so that could be what she's going for. But it's so loose weave, like one's black and white, the next is in a circle frame, the third one's massive, the next one's tiny. In the exhibition, or in one of the photographs, if I'm shooting one of her exhibition, there's a shell in a glass. Yeah. And that's what I've sort of gone with this, is it's all connected in that this is what it is, this is what I photographed. But because there's so many avenues with this type of work, I've just allowed the work to progress and evolve around this. A bit how I imagine Emma Critchley does hers. Not Emma Critchley, sorry. Esther Teichmann. Emma Critchley, however, very structured with her work. She uses divers a lot, as that's her progression into photography. Starting off at Brighton University, doing a BA in photography. I said photography too many times now, it's coming out silly. Originally did a bit of diving, a bit of marine work. Went and did a marine course either after uni or during, can't remember which one it was. And started to connect, bought a little film under word. Weird in the fact that there's somebody underwater with a mirror in front of their face, or somebody wearing a wedding dress underwater. I think it's fair enough to say it's weird. But it's not weird as in wrong, it's weird as in Roland Barthes and Susan Sontag's weird. The reason we photograph things is because we find them interesting, they're odd to look at, we like to point and make judgments. Because we're all narcissists, really. But yeah, her work with divers and water as a body. One of my favourite works of hers, other than this one with the mirror in front of the face, which I still don't understand, unless it's a comment upon how we look at ourselves, or the feeling of water. It's not about you as a person. Water is this enveloping thing that, although you're self-aware, what you're doing is no longer about you being best or better, it's about the environment. I have no idea what it's about, these are just my opinions. but the work that she did with a woman diver and a woman. Oh, it's not a tenor, what is it? It's the reverse of a tenor, a bloke doing opera, but it's the woman. I can't remember what the word is for that. But yeah, it's a woman singer, and she takes away or leaves the vowels in of each word that the woman is singing, and lengthens them out, which I don't really understand. Or I understand the work because I've seen it, but I don't understand what it's called when you take the rest of the words out of a song and leave in a sound. But that's irrelevant. Yeah, her connection with the person, her view, and the work is again a very strong built idea that she's running with. All her work involves water in some way, whether it's the landscapes in the Lake District, these wedding dresses. I think the wedding dresses, they're very nice clothes underwater, probably ruined. The work's just very strong. Her whole collection's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing her at the first Tuesdays. Although it's not the first Tuesday we go back, it'll be the first Tuesday of May. Although that's too late for this assignment, so it's a bit irrelevant. The research into her work, again, isn't too much of her as a person. Although, as I said, I do know that she went to Brighton University. She did this, that, and the other. Went on a marine course. I can't remember where it was, but it was somewhere. And she's just run with it from now on. I'd like to know how she books out pools, because I've tried it, like swimming pools and things. I've tried doing that. Bloody nightmare. Won't talk to you half the time. Don't reply. Or they're like, oh, we don't let rent out this. Just go away. Yeah. Who was the other one? The new wave guy. Again, I'm just going to use the word guy for this because his name I can't pronounce. Andrew Bruce said it to me several times, and I think Tom's mentioned it a few times as well, but it's just not sitting in my mouth. It just doesn't stay there. Yes, his work. One space, shooting out to sea, looking at the three stages of this landscape. The land that we stand on, the sea and the sky, and how they blend and change and are all part of one greater whole. Well, that's my understanding of it. Art is interpretable, and once you give it to a public audience, it's, although your intentions and meaning might be embedded in your cerebellum, it's not embedded in everyone else's. Everyone else has their own opinion. We all see the world differently. Phenomenology again. So that's, again, three key ones. I've looked at other people. I've looked at a couple of surf photographers, like Patrick Treves. I think I mentioned Martin Parr in this assignment somewhere, although he's not to do with water. He photographs people in place, but my work's quite specific. 3 of the rules for the project have been Joss Bay or Viking Bay, shoot at a certain time during the day and use certain cameras. That certain camera rule has changed several times because of availability, functionality, and issues overall. One issue being that the dive bag that I have been using, which belongs to the uni, got a hole and started taking on water, couldn't use the bag anymore. No camera was damaged, but it was a predicament that means the quality of the images that I'm producing has dropped because I went from using a 5D Mark III Canon to a S33 Coolpix Nikon. I think you can get the difference, one being a DSLR with 14 to 18 megapixel sensor, 5 to 7 frames a second with f-stop control and shutter speed and all the lights and flashy bits, all very posh, to a compact camera with a delayed shutter from pressing a button, really poor compression, and only shoots to 4 megapixel JPEGs, which gets the work. The images are there. They're about this quality. I couldn't blow these up much higher. Well, I can do if I had the original files, but if I would just take this as a screenshot, I couldn't blow up these very much higher, and that's what I've got. Better to have a poor quality image than not have the image at all. Best camera is the camera you have with you. I can use 101 excuses. It's just the fact I've now got a bit of a crap camera. Well, it's not crap, it's good because it's waterproof and I can go in the sea and I can do all the bits, but not as good as I could with a 5D. Spoke very fast there for a minute, do apologise. How is the project going or gone? Good question, Andrew, well done. It's going well. It's probably the one I've done the most work for. And the experimentation, testing chemicals on films, looking at different prints, considering different shots, lighting, angles, direction, seeing how it all fits together. It's just, yeah, it's going well. Bit looming over the fact that it's 2 weeks away, the deadline. I still think I need to do more research. I mean, I've mentioned a few. There are more artists in this thing. There's a couple of artists in the sketchbook that hopefully you'll be looking at whilst you're looking at this. I mean, it'd be good if you were looking through the sketchbook whilst you're listening to this. It gives you something to do whilst I'm rambling on about nothing for ages. I do like to ramble. It's good to listen to your own voice, although I'm not going to listen to this because my voice is disgusting on record. Ha ha. Yeah, that's really what it's come to. Is that it's a good project. I've enjoyed it. Research again is always a bit iffy because of my written word. Hopefully, I've been able to put a few of these videos together or talked about them, not just written about them, to show that I do understand who and why I'm looking at things and what influence they've had on my work. Like, there are some photos in here that I could, say I've drawn influence from. I can't say his name. The guy with the new wave. Where I've tried to balance off the horizon line and the sea and things in a certain way at a certain time of day. Or I've gone for like the colour palettes of again other artists. I think I could have done my research better. Could have got more people out of it. I think I've looked at a lot of people though, even if they haven't quite made it to this. You look for a magazine and think, oh, that's quite cool, that's nice. But it's too irrelevant, it's too disjointed from what I'm looking at, but I do like this aspect. I could try looking at this, that, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, yeah, so that's my project, my research, the equipment list that I've used, some difficulties I've had with it. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.